flexible seating and reader's workshop at Boston. Nicole Coogan from Cherokee for yoga and mindfulness. Lori Rodriguez, alternative seating, Sycamore. We're almost through. Beth Edson, getting cozy with reading, John Pearl. Laura Barry for library tech and makerspace at Westfield Preschool. Megan McAlpine again over here for flexible active seating. Ray Varda for the Red Watch Band Project, Neckwa Cares. Emily Chene for Making Mindful Students, and Kim Patterson for Children's Yoga and Mindfulness. These are our 2018-19 grant recipients from CSAC, so we thank you guys for coming out tonight.
Great job.
Thank you.
Thank you all for your hard work.
Thank you for feedback for doing that, but thank you to the teachers for taking the opportunity to do something. You know, it's really appreciated by everybody. We're watching this thing and what you're doing is great.
Community membership.
Thank you.
I'm just going to take a second to plug our zombie walk at the high school on January 26th from 9 to 12. Kids run around the high school while dressed up zombies chasing around. Good time. And the Community Honors Gala is March 7th at Villa Lombardi's. This year's honorees are Ray Carter, community member, the West Sayville Fire Department, and Bobby Lightstone, who had been an administrator and kind of all-around person here at Connectbot. Bobby has yet to accept the nomination, but we expect her to. So those are the 3 nominees. And so we hope to see you guys there if possible, to make it there. Thank you guys very much for your support, and thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I don't think there's any students here from student government. Alright, so we're going to entertain a motion.
CPAC, Sylvia, CPAC. We're not CPAC. We're not getting any information at the board level from you this year.
As
As far as Mama Lombardi's.
I'll talk to.
Okay, I need a motion and a second to suspend the planning meeting.
Motion.
Second, all in favor? I need a motion and a second to convene an audit committee meeting. Second, all in favor?
If you want to summarize the corrective action plan, the points that the auditor found, when they're doing their audit, they make suggestions for improvements the district can make in the controls. Police controls, they recommended that a documented disaster recovery plan be completed and fully implemented by the district. The district has been working on this for the past several years. They noted that we have made progress with that, and they were recommending that we continue those efforts. The district's, this is our corrective action plan, our response to the point. The district's disaster recovery plan and the district's documentation of its disaster recovery plan are expected to be completed by the end of the 18-19 fiscal year. For capital assets, The auditors are recommending that the district implement procedures to annually assess the district's capital improvement projects so that the capital assets inventory records can be updated accordingly. For this audit year end, the district will assess and will annually thereafter assess its capital projects to identify and put completed capital projects in its capital asset inventory records. Really, that bullet point is about assessing what's in work in process and moving it over to completed assets that can then be depreciated. For budget transfers, the auditors noted there was one budget transfer into a non-contingent appropriation code, which is an equipment code. There was a budget transfer from the transportation equipment code to the garage, also in the transportation department, but not the identical function code. So that's what they cited. It went from 5510 to 5530. The district agrees and will refrain from making such budget transfers. Extra classroom activity funds, the auditors are recommending that the district, although there were improvements in the internal controls in the extra classroom activity funds over which the district really does not have oversight. That's separate funding, that's the students' money. But they recommend that the district continue to address the controls within the extra classroom activities, and that the clubs include a memo documenting the purpose of all donations signed by the officers of the club as supporting documentation for all donations. So it's donations that the clubs are making, but they're looking to see the students have officially approved that in writing. Our response is that I, the faculty auditor, and the district treasurer meet with the club advisors, which are the teachers, building principals, and central treasurers at each secondary school at the beginning of each year. We hold a detailed meeting during which time proper procedures are explained, State Ed's finance pamphlet 2, and the district's cash handling procedures are distributed. I highlight requirements for handling student funds and stress the importance of proper and complete supporting documentation for all disbursements from student funds. We are committed to continue our efforts to maintain and improve the extra classroom activity controls. Unassigned fund balance, general fund and reserves. The district was able to pay down nearly $12.5 million of BAN, bond anticipation notes with unassigned fund balance. And this resulted in our coming within 1.18% of the allowable 4% unassigned fund balance. And the auditors are recommending that we continue to address and assess our unassigned fund balance and our plan to become compliant with the 4% fund balance limit. We are continuing our planned short-term and long-term management of unassigned fund balance so as to be within that statutory limit. Interfund receivables and payables. The auditors recommend that the district continue to use the current financial resources to repay interfund balances throughout the year. We agree and have put this practice in place to periodically throughout the year pay down the interfund borrowings. For workers' compensation, the auditors are recommending that we engage an actuary to calculate our incurred but not reported workers' comp claims to assist us in evaluating the funding for workers' comp claims outstanding. During the 18-19 year, the district engaged a new third-party administrator who is compiling data on outstanding workers' comp claims. We will engage an actuary as recommended in the current year to evaluate the outstanding workers' comp claims data. Authorization for payroll transactions. The auditors noted that the appropriate administrator is documenting a review for any additional benefit payments that are made by signing and dating approval for such payments. They recommend that we continue to do that, and we agree and are continuing to follow with practice as recommended. Bank reconciliations, although the auditors note that there was a review of the bank reconciliations by somebody besides the person actually creating the bank reconciliations, they wanted that formally documented, so that's not a problem. Those, that review is being documented by being signed and dated on each bank reconciliation every month. And then finally, the auditors noted that for encumbrances, that some of the encumbrances were actually more properly recorded as accrued liabilities or as accounts payable. The district agrees and will review encumbrances at year end and reclassify to accounts payable and or accrued liability as appropriate. So I'm asking that you accept the corrective action plan, which is responsive to the auditor's recommendations.
I just have a question, Sharon. There was one part where it said we're hiring an actuary, and I know,
Yes.
they did recommend that in the past.
They did.
So instead, we hired who?
We had a third-party administrator.
Instead of an actuary?
No, but that was really our step one to getting better data.
So once that data is collected, we won't need that third-party administrator anymore. We'll have the actuary.
No, we still need a third-party administrator.
Why can't the actuary do the same thing with the third-party administrator?
Because an actuary does the extensive calculations based on trending, and that's different from a third-party administrator who is processing claims on behalf of the district.
Don't we have someone that processes claims right now?
It's a third-party. that does that.
Before we had.
We did have a different person. We had a different
We had a
company.
third one here,
No, we always had a third-party administrator.
always.
Yes. It's been nice, isn't it? We used to have the other company as long as I've been here.
Okay, all right. I was a little confused on that. And does that have anything to do with this that we have the New York State audit? That's
By
something
the
different?
controller's office?
Yeah.
No. About every 5 years, the controller comes and audits every school district.
Okay,
And they were here 5 years ago.
okay. And can I ask a question on this?
Sure.
Because we have to fill out this form?
What is that, a conflict of interest form?
Yeah, I guess. But it also says that if we have any questions that we involve these people?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
I need a motion and a second to accept the corrective action plan.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I need a motion and a second to adjourn the audit meeting.
Motion.
Second. All in favor? Three ayes.
Aye, sorry.
Sharon, I guess this would be you, it's in school lunch presentation.
I'd like to introduce to you Miss Christine Cunningham with Whitson's. She's the manager, Andy Martel.
Good evening, thank you, Sharon.
Thank you.
Sharon, I actually have a USB card with you to access. There's no microphone.
The mic's not
Can you
on.
hear me? It's on?
Ready? No.
That's it right down now.
there a way to control these slides from up here?
You move that a little bit to your right. We'll be able to see the PowerPoint.
Oh, okay.
Good, excellent. Remember, I can't see that one on my list.
Yes, yes. Okay, I just need to give you more of an introduction. Ms. Cunman is here because there's been an interest in exploring the possibility of the district considering a self-operated program. Whitson's is our food service management company, and they are good enough to prepare this presentation, Gladys, and come here and give us some pros and cons to either maintaining a food service management company or moving towards a self-op. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Again, my name is Christine Cunman. I am the Food Service District Manager from Whitson's Culinary Group. And I would like to take this opportunity to thank you for allowing us to present to you tonight the benefits of having a food service management company to assist you with running your school breakfast and your school lunch program. As we all know, a team is much more powerful than an individual. And my hope is that you have a better understanding tonight, after our presentation, of the entire value of your food service management company. Tonight, I brought part of the Whitson's culinary team with me, so I would like to introduce them at this time. We have Christine Miller here in the middle. She is your resident food service director of school nutrition. Behind me, I have Kelly Friend. She's the chief operating officer from Whitson's. And we also have Catherine Marfis. She is the director of nutrition services and our registered dietitian. These are just a very few of the corporate support that I've brought tonight. There are many, many more divisions and resources that support this program for you on each and every day. If I could just have you look at some of the pictures that are on the screen right now. Those are pictures from your school districts of the plated food, the fruits and vegetables, strombolis in your high school, pizza in your elementary schools. Those are actual food, that's actual food from your district. So let's talk a little bit about the goals for our meeting tonight. I'd like to tell you who we are and what we do for you. Our relationship and dedication to the Connect Block community. The benefits of having a food service management company. A little bit about our marketing program, our procurement program. We'll show you some statistics and participation. We'll have Catherine talk about nutrition and show you a demonstration of our interactive menu. We'll talk about future enhancements and the overall value. Again, these are more pictures of what's happening on site in your district. So who are we? What exactly is a management company? And what do we do for you? Well, we're Whitson's Culinary Group, and we're currently the 20th largest dining service provider in the United States. We provide a wide range of highly customized dining services to school districts throughout the Northeast. We commit to the development of the team members, continuous improvement of the program, and innovation. What are the benefits of a partnership with Whitson's? Well, it allows us to focus on food for you and your community and your students and staff. while you focus on the education, which is the core competency. The benefit reduces the overall administrative responsibilities, providing time for other responsibilities. There's another benefit which shifts over the accountability to the management company of the nutrition service audits, the controls, and the systems. We provide the districts with the ability to leverage Whitson's extensive resources to be compliant with USDA guidelines and legislation. The benefit also enhances cost and operational controls because we have a Dine Central business enterprise system that we're able to utilize here. A great benefit is that it transfers the purchasing responsibility to Whitson's. We use high-quality ingredients to prepare meals from the cleanest, healthiest ingredients available according to your bid specifications. We deliver healthy menu offerings tailored to the taste of the local community. Another benefit is that we have over 40 years of expertise in this field. We also provide the district with a passionate, committed, dedicated team of culinary, nutrition, marketing, and operational professionals to drive a better quality of dining for your community. So let's talk a little bit about our partnership. I like this part because I get to talk about me. So, I've been a community member since 2004. And Sharon knows my heart goes way out to Connect Club because I've been involved in this district since 1996. So I've seen a lot of people come and go, and a lot of people are still here. Lee, you've been here for many, many, many years. And I think the last time I saw you was at a garage sale over an idle hour. Also here tonight, Christine Miller, like I said. Christine has been a community member since 2005. She is your current food service director. She was actually a food service worker from 2007 through 2015 and worked her way up, left, sharpened her management skills, and came back now as your director, an expert in the field. She also has 2 children, one that has already graduated from Connecticut and one that is currently in the high school. Keeping it local is exactly what Whitson's is. We are only 5 miles down the road from you. Our corporate office is right here in Islandia. So all of our resources are truly at our fingertips. Right now, I would like to introduce again Kelly, our Chief Operating Officer. I'm going to ask Kelly if she can come up and just speak a little bit about the benefits of having a management company and compliance.
Hi everyone, thank you for having us. Can you hear me? I'm not one of those good speaker people, so forgive me please. What we wanted to just, I guess, bring across to everybody, the community, and to the board, is the benefits that I think you probably don't see on a day-to-day basis with a food service management company, the things that go on behind the scenes that would change, we believe, drastically if you were to bring the house to insourcing. You just see a manager and things just kind of happen magically on the policy and compliance, the product safety, the recall process. All of those things, I know Sharon probably receives alerts from us when a food item is recalled. We have a system that immediately alerts us from the FDA, from USDA, from wherever it started. And within, I'd say, 6 or 7 hours, we already have it pulled off the shelf, marked. We have the source data tagged, isolated. We inform the clients right away. A message goes out to all the food service workers to hold the product until it's safe or discarded if we deem it's unsafe. So things like that have a very sophisticated back program that manages that. There's probably 15 people in our office just managing recalls because recalls happen on a daily basis. But you know that probably just from the retail market. Just the fact of managing your financial portion of the billing, things that you probably, again, wouldn't expect, but we process about 2,500 to 3,000 invoices every year on a daily basis. That's us paying the vendors. If that translated to an insourcing program, and you go out to the food co-ops, you're looking at probably 30 or 40 different vendors just to get the amount of products that we can buy from 2 or 3, because we've negotiated that with borderline vendors. And that changes your invoice processing, your payment schedules with them. Right now, you just pay one price, or one price vendor, as you know. Then there's also the marketing that we bring to the table, which Catherine will explain. And I think the nutrition, the allergy management, and the menu management are probably the most significant contributions we can make from a food service management standpoint, because we have a team of nutritionists on site. We have a team of purchasing verifications that are vetting every single product that goes into here. It's not a CM label product, which is probably child nutrition label, 50% of the product on the market. Everything else has to have what's called a formulation statement. You can't just bring anything you want into the program anymore. So nutritionists have to take that product and turn it into what's called a formulation statement in lieu of a CM label. And that's a big process, and that takes our nutrition department probably 6 months of the year just vetting products for the coming year. That's not something that's provided now from a food co-op or anything else. That's something you'd have to look to go find and have done for you. And then, then there's the donated food processing and handling and purchasing that goes into play. And again, all the nutritional data. Right now, anybody, a student, faculty, staff, nurses, parents can go onto our menus, the live versions of our web-based menus, and Kevin will demonstrate this. Click on any item on our menu, and it will not only tell you the ingredients and the allergens, but will also give you the deck sheet specifications, which tells you every single thing about the product. Everything that's in it, where it's sourced from, the country of origin, if it's outside the U.S., and why. So there's things like that that I think, have to be factored into, which don't necessarily get translated when we sit around and talk about the insourcing process, which seems like it's simple, but it's complex. So we just wanted to have an opportunity to at least illustrate that for you. Okay? Yes.
Breakfast is not that great. I was there a couple of years ago.
Elementary breakfast.
Yeah. No, elementary lunch.
Oh, elementary lunch.
So Lee, you ate at the elementary school?
Couple of years ago.
I've never eaten that.
The last year, the year before. It wasn't advertised.
Well, I mean, was it just when they
I don't even know if it was your group.
Yes, depends on what year it was. This contract started in, I think, 15, 16.
Yeah.
So it could have been okay. We're not perfect, and the staff tries really hard, and they work very hard. You have a wonderful staff.
I know, and I know food is carried over into the whole side.
It's a complex service, and again, we're not perfect. We try to perfect it every day. It's a work in progress. When we
It gets
receive
better when you
feedback.
get, it gets better in middle school.
Yeah, well, middle school's a lot easier because we have a lot of options. The elementary school, there's not the opportunity to present as many options. We don't have the equipment, we don't have the staffing, we don't have, your satellite. It's exactly right. You're not cooking on site. Everything's being brought over. So you lose something with that translation. Hard as you want to get that over there perfectly and at the right, timing, it's not always the case. But it is always a work in progress, and I know that they work very hard, and the girls are very dedicated to making sure that the kids get what they want, on time and hot or cold, whichever temperature it's supposed to be served at.
And I know the high school.
It's a phenomenal program at the high school, and it's a big program. You have probably more variety than many other schools I've seen, and we keep, again, pushing that. We brought an extensive new smoothie bar named Christine, and Christine can speak to the day-to-day, but we really stepped up a lot of things we're doing, and I think every year we evolve. Every year we get, new, more innovative products. We have a big push right now for clean label. That's really our priority right now, is stripping out, what we call our list of no-nos off of our labeling, no MSG, no high fructose corn syrup, no artificial flavors, no coloring, to the extent.
That's why the elementary group was there.
Probably, I mean, yeah, and again, we're all learning how to work with products like that and make them good. The same thing with the snacks, the same thing with every manufacturer out there. When they change the smart snack in school,
process over to us. It was really hard to get a Dorito that tasted good or a potato chip that kids wanted to eat, you know? It took companies like Frito-Lay with billions of dollars in research and marketing to perfect that problem, to get the kids to even buy that again. So it's been hard, and again, we have a big team of research chefs. Catherine works down on the floor, and the nutritionists with those chefs every day. We have, I don't know, how many people down there? 130, 140 people out down there every day that are literally working with product, working with manufacturers directly. You know, we were one of the first companies as a privately owned company that got a company to make us ketchup without high fructose corn syrup. You couldn't find it on the market, it wasn't available in the PC packaging. And you know, we said, listen, we're going to commit to buying 60,000 pounds of this stuff. But you got to make it the way we need it, and you got to make it good. And you know, the first time it didn't work, and the second time it didn't work, and the kids were throwing it at us and throw it in the garbage, and it took a while to get it to where it is. And like I said, every year, every day, we're evolving, and we're trying to raise the bar and still keep, you know, the integrity of what the nutritional standards are in the clean label movement.
I just want to interrupt. If there is a complaint, it's hard to respond to a vague complaint like the lunch is terrible at the elementary school. I've been at the elementary school, I didn't find it terrible, and the children I spoke to actually, you know, they couldn't even pick a favorite. Amongst many children, well, this is my favorite, that's my favorite. I'm very responsive to any complaint, but we need specifics. So that we know if the problem is because the food is satellited from the middle school. Did it get cold in the delivery? Was there a problem with how the product was presented? So I think, you know, lunch has become like an easy target, something everybody complains about, you know. But we just need the basis for it so that we can follow up on it. We want to do that, whether we have a food service management company or not.
That's a good point, because we often do get very vague information, so it's hard to address it specifically.
Well, it's almost become part of, I think, common culture that, oh, school lunch is bad. You know, it's almost,
We have the
become
first
that.
stigma attached to this. Yes, you know, years ago, I used to go out there, what do you do for work? You know, and, you know, you were almost embarrassed to say this is what your livelihood was, because it was horrible.
Please,
Well,
what was wrong with it a few years ago, if you don't mind me asking?
I don't remember exactly what I ate, but I just remember eating that sweet potato french fries and ate it cold.
Yeah, well, that can be fixed. That can be fixed if we know about it.
Exactly. And that's the thing, you know, it's the open communication. It's the, you know, we have lots of parents, even kids now, that go onto our website. We have an active website where people can log in. It's like a website that kids say, hey, how come my school doesn't have this or that? And we commit to responding within 24 hours to everybody. Sometimes there's not the answer they want because they're asking for a Red Bull or, you know, something that we can't serve. But if they're saying, you know, how come I don't have this or that, we say, hey, listen, you never got a request for that before. Contact the director. I'm going to CC her on this email, respond to you, and we go back and forth with it. You know, we do our best to accommodate. Again, you know, nice because we are a mid-sized firm. We have a little boutique. We can put a, you know, customize each district for exactly what the clientele is looking for.
So I have a question. I have actually a few questions. So if Murray serves me correctly, last year we came in at a $200,000 deficit. And that number has been increasing slowly. So am I very close to $200,000? So that number's not going down. It's just slowly increasing every year. Do you have any opinion on that?
That's the district. I think she's referring to the district. Yes?
We're actually not privy to that information.
It's public knowledge. It's not even a privy.
No, I think what Christine is trying to say is that we don't necessarily monitor the district revenue and the district bottom line because it's a per meal contract. As you know, New York State is only working on a per meal contract at this point. So we know what our per meal price is. That's what we bid on, obviously, our per meal. So we know what our per meal is. What your other ancillary costs are that report to the program, but not necessarily. We don't know that. We don't know what your labor or your other expenses that are built into the lunch program for at this point.
So one of the things when the consultant that came in that we were considering on doing keeping it in-house, she was even a little bit taken back by that number, 200K.
Well, again, I don't know what made up that. I don't know where your costs are, so I can't see your bottom line. But if you look at just you know, the responsibilities that we take on, your lunch, we charge you $1.40 a meal. And I don't want to take Christine's thunder away, but honestly, for $1.40 a meal, what the kids are getting, they're getting, you know, the whole management team in our corporation, beside that, they're getting all of our nutrition expertise, they're getting all the food that we provide, and like I said, the labor, which you don't see. I mean, you pay for your own on-site labor, which we understand, but for $1.40, like, we were talking about it when we were preparing this presentation, we said, you can't even get a cup of coffee for $1.40. That's like not even 2 songs on iTunes. You know, when you put it in perspective like that, you know, to feed the kids and provide everything we're providing for that number is small. And I do understand that you have other costs, and I absolutely respect that. And, you know, if you ever wanted to have conversations outside of here on ways that we can be privy to what's going on and help you or give you advice or put you in touch with other districts that may experience the same type of deficit, we'd love to do that for you and with you.
Yeah, the other piece of it too is that while we're looking at a deficit, I'm like, okay, the kids are eating.
But there's been a deficit in this district for years. The deficit-
No, but it's
actually a deficit in every district from what I.
Yeah.
So
I would think that most districts are probably in some sort of a deficit situation.
Yeah, just speaking with the consultant, she said this was pretty high. The other thing that I heard somebody mention is that everything was taken locally. So there's no bread coming from Jersey, there's no products coming from anywhere else.
No, that's not everything is coming locally. 58% of our purchases are local purchases.
Okay, so when you presented that, it made it sound like everything was
Oh,
local.
we apologize, and we didn't mean to mislead you on that. So if we said everything, I think what Christine's point was that we're local.
Right.
So our headquarters are, you know, right down, we're not 10 minutes from here, 5 minutes, whatever it is. And then our purchases right now are about 58% local during the mid-season. In September, it's a little higher because we can get some produce. Then towards the end of the year, like May, June, it's higher because we can get local produce. Obviously, we don't grow produce here in the winter months, and that's a big percentage of our products right now.
So say, for example, like the bread. So I think there's somebody in Oakdale. I think it's in Oakdale. So,
So Rockland is local, Rockland's a New York baker, yes.
It's a New York baker, and the variety that they have is much greater than what Rockland has, and their quality is a little bit better as well.
okay. So the bread company is local.
Rockland, the bread comes in New York company, yes, it's a New York
It'll
company.
be a company, but it's coming from Pennsylvania, where is it?
No, it's New York, it's New York, yeah, it's just above Westchester, New York, so. Right, so when we define local, you know, in an environment like this, you know, it's local, for us, it's, you know, it's within, you know, 30 minutes away, 40 minutes away, to the best of our ability.
So when I started, you guys had made a depiction of pictures, but that food was mostly at the secondary level. None of that food was any of that food at
Yes,
the elementary
yes.
level?
I don't know which one right now, but you know which one was.
Waffles and pizza.
The waffles and pizza.
Okay, so that particular thing, but everything else was secondary level.
Yeah, either a middle school or a high school.
Again, what my concern is, while we have a deficit in this program, have your numbers increased about, as far as kids eating
So
it?
why don't I just go there, let me just jump right to that, because we did put that together. Yeah.
So, yeah, we did put together a little bit of what has transpired over the last 3 years since we obtained the contract back here in Connecticut. And unfortunately, in many districts now, the communities are changing, people are moving out, families are smaller. I think everybody knows what's going on with everybody's financial situation. And enrollment has dropped here in Connecticut probably every single year for the last 10 years. I'm showing you the last 3. So, you know, back in 16, 17, we were looking at 5,800, we went to 5,700, now we're at 5,600. So,
Last year was 5,600.
I'm sorry?
Last year was 5,600?
5788.
5788.
Yeah, 17.
And by the way, that's the average, because we don't do the ADA, you know, so we're not tracking that every single day, we're taking an average for the year.
Okay, so the numbers, the enrollment is decreasing, but the deficit is increasing.
But remember, our fee to you doesn't change. Our fee is just the same price for the meals. Your other expenses, you may have expenses that aren't fluctuating as your business is going up and down. So there's a lot of other things to look at and evaluate.
Our main objective is always the participation, because that's what's going to keep the revenue flowing in. We need top dollar to cover any of those expenses that you're talking about.
So out of the 5788 students, we'll round it up to 1,500 students, how many students actually eat lunch?
So here's your participation. So although your enrollment has dropped over the last 3 years each year, your participation has increased, which is a great accomplishment.
So I don't know, I can't see that.
So let me just read that to you. So in 16-17, your ADP was 2,542. In 17-18, it was 2,561. And this year, it's currently at 2,693, and still rising. And I
So
do,
when you look at those numbers, even though you have declining enrollment, but there's an increase in participation in the program.
absolutely.
You know, some of the things you have to consider as well is, you know, you might have an environment like one of the elementary school cafeterias. So if your enrollment, whether it goes up or down, you have to have a minimum number of people that work there. So if you have, you know, 3 girls or 4 girls there, even if your enrollment goes down by 50 people, 80 people, which changes the financials, obviously, you still have to maintain a level of service. Whether it's a function of the layout, whether it's a function of how the students come through the serving line, or whatever it is. So those costs are the hardest thing I sometimes for people to understand and relate to. Because they say, well, gee, you know, everything's going down, why are my costs still the same or increasing? I mean, that's you know, partly what happens.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
We can kind of jump around, we do.
Oh, wait, there's more.
Yeah. Thank you.
So I'm just going to go backwards here a little bit since Kelly stole a lot of my thunder, but that's okay. Okay, so everybody knows to be successful in business, marketing is key. How do you get the students in? What do they hear? What do they see? So we have an entire marketing division with a strategy. And what's their strategy? It's to attract students to the food service program. We love when kids come in and they look at the posters on the walls, they ask questions, they're reading the signage, they're reading the ingredients, they're looking at all of that marketing and getting involved with the program. It must be working because your ADP is up each year. Another goal is to increase the participation. Get the kids excited about nutrition, about the program. Like Kelly said, it's, you know, what's your job load for lunch? Nobody really wants to boast about that. But I do because I'm proud of the program. I'm proud of what ConnectQuad has. It's a unique program. It really is. There's one of us and a lot of you. And together we make a great team. And the women have been here a very, very long time. And like you said, there could be problems in the elementary school, but your food gets satellited from your 2 middle schools. Your food service workers only work 19.5 hours a day. There's mostly only 2 people in those kitchens, and they're only classified as food service workers. They're not leads, they're not cooks. So that's something to take into consideration as well. When you say the food's better at the middle school and the high school, you have cooks there. That's their job title. So a cook is going to take on and have a lot more responsibility than a food service worker. It doesn't mean the program can't get any better. It doesn't mean we can't get out to your schools like Christine's been doing and meeting with your students, meeting with your staff, getting feedback personally from the students. That's what's happening right now. We used to do that in this district many, many years ago. We used to have committees. And there's no reason why we shouldn't form those committees again to improve the program, especially at the elementary level. Because if they eat in elementary, they're going to eat in middle school, and everybody eats at the high school. Because the high school is a phenomenal program. And I boast about that program to every single one of my districts. So, back to marketing. Whitson's has a marketing department that develops many different things. Nutrition education, promotional materials, public relations, surveys, the website that we'll show you tonight, and a Get Chef program. I hope you've heard about the Get Chef that's been in your district. Cherokee did, Cherokee's here, over, Lisa, how many extra meals?
120 extra the other day.
And she
Almost
still hasn't
400
recovered from
waffles.
that. It was Waffle Bar Day. And we invite all of you to come to the Waffle Bar Day tomorrow, where we'll have another guest chef over at Pearl Elementary School. Please come, join us. It's a great, fun day, and the kids love it.
What time do you serve the food?
11:20.
I have to interrupt again.
I'm sorry?
I don't think that our food service workers do this. I think we just saw them shout out, America at Cherokee. I think they're all very proud.
We work hard. We work
They
very
do.
hard.
They do. They do
I
work
know my
hard.
meals do not look bad. I don't know what school you were
No,
in, but
no.
I take
And I
offense
still
to
have a lot of pride
that.
when I've been. And I know you know that too.
Of
I think we're talking about general culture where people, I don't think you connect
Sure.
with people.
But it's everywhere. It's everywhere. And you know what? We have those resources. We have those extra hands, those guest chefs that we can incorporate into all 10 schools to go around and train your staff and give them those extra skills that they might be missing, that they don't have the resources for. So we can provide that. So I'm going to invite Catherine up. She's our registered dietitian in charge of the nutrition division of Whitson's, and she's going to go through a little bit of the marketing and the nutrition that happens all behind the scenes. So there's a link that we'd like to follow up on the screen. Let me go back one. Right on the bottom. I don't know if it'll work from there.
Like this?
There we go. Hello, I'm Catherine. I'm going to go through some of the material in this flip book that you guys have a copy of in front of you. I'm going to go through it rather quickly because a lot of the points discussed in the book have already been discussed with some of my team members. And then at the end of the presentation, I'm going to also click out of the presentation to go onto the district website to talk about some of the things that everyone kind of pointed out. Is it a touch screen?
It could be.
Maybe on the bottom, make it right there.
Yeah. Perfect, you can go to the next. Yeah, you can go to the next one. So again, some of the culinary programs that we offer as your food service management company. Being in the nutrition department and being a food service company, obviously I touch upon every department within the company. I work with the marketing department, I work with the procurement department, I work with food service directors, I work with culinary chefs. So we kind of have our fingers in a little bit of everything. So I'm just going to go over some of these culinary programs, which again, you've experienced some of the guest chefs. So not only do we have culinary chefs within our company that can come out and do food demonstrations, food sampling. We have the capacity, if there's a chef in your community or a local restaurant that is a big hit within your community, we can work with you to bring that chef in, a celebrity chef. We have Chefology 101 where we engage the students and bring them into the kitchen so they're preparing food. We also do, guest food service director for a day to kind of get the kids engaged to see what it is like to, to run a school lunch program and all the complexity that goes into it. Obviously, being environmentally conscious is very important to us. We want to reduce our carbon footprint, so we do have, a few different environmentally conscious programs that we do on a daily basis here, but we could also engage with you if you guys are interested in offering some of these things, such as like a community garden, vertical gardens, but of course, more local purchasing is definitely a part of that. Now I'm going to go some more direct marketing information. Go to the next. Next slide, yeah.
Keep in mind that all the services that Catherine is discussing, you don't pay any extra. That's all comes out of our program, our administrative
So these are some of our Fooditude promotion programs. These are educational, nutrition-based programs that are meant to teach the students about nutrition education and also more of a positive attitude. We work in collaboration with the marketing department to make up the material for all of these different programs. And we also have them divided based on, different age groups. So we have ones that are more focused on elementary education through our Nutrition Safari, where each of the characters are represented different food group, and we educate the kids about that specific food group. And then we have more of the secondary level where we're doing flavor of the month. We're doing fuel to teach them about all the different nutritional aspects, maybe, if they're an athlete or if they're in the band or, in some math competition, how food affects their performance in all those different categories. And then here is, in your handout, there's additional ones, but there's some different ways that we can improve upon the look and feel of the dining room. I know, speaking with Christine, you guys recently updated your cafeteria, so you may or may not be interested in things of this nature, but if you are interested in using some of the re-imaging to kind of have a different feel to the cafeteria, these are just some things that we can offer, and there's some before and after images in the handout. And then we also have merchandising and signage. So again, we work with the marketing department in creating these different flyers. We have, different communication, digital signage. We have printing on demand, all these different features, again, that just come just with working with Whitson's. It's our free services to you. And just continue on communication, and I will go through, we have our district web pages. We also have surveys. I know we spoke a little bit about how to get feedback. So not only can we do customized surveys for your particular district to kind of find out what's going on, we do surveys throughout the company. So, when we're placing certain items on the menu, we're getting feedback from all the other districts in the region and seeing what are the popular menu items, what's wrong with maybe this recipe or this product that we need to improve upon. So we're really having all that data collected so we can really choose the best food for your students. And then me. So I'll talk a little bit about nutrition services. You can go to the next slide. So one of the biggest part of my department is helping with administrative reviews. So our department can help with the on-site reviews. We deal with some of the state-specific material, so filling out dietary assessment tools, looking over the menu for menu pattern compliance, the nutritional value of the menu, doing a nutritional analysis, all to show compliant with both the state and federal guidelines. In addition to, on-site administrative review help during an AR, we also provide AR training. So we train our individual staffs on all the regulations of the Healthy Hunger Free Kids Act, specific things for the state, the Smart Snacks in School, and then we can also do training to the staff to say, these are the state checklists. This is usually, some things that the states are looking for. So have this paperwork ready and things of that nature. So those are all things that we do on a regular basis during administrative reviews. 100% of the time, to ensure compliance year-round, we do all of the recipe development. So every recipe that's provided on your menu, we have thoroughly vetted it to make sure that it complies with all the different meal patterns. It's crediting properly for either a meat. It has the different vegetable subgroups covered. And again, the fact that it's also nutritionally balanced. We review all product specification sheets. So product specification sheets looking at the nutritionally, ingredient-wise, are they meeting the standards of the state and federal, and also meeting our Simply Rooted philosophy, as Kelly talked about, clean ingredients, no artificial flavors, colors, no high fructose corn syrup. And then also looking at the allergen content. We also look at how credits. So Kelly mentioned product formulation sheets, CN labels. We help make sure all that information is put in correctly into our Dine Central software. But we can also work with vendors if they don't have product formulation sheets or CN labels. We have, the nutrition knowledge to work with them to complete the USDA product formulation sheet so that we can use a wider variety of products. And then we also do, just a little couple back, sorry. We also do food safety and allergen training. So I know allergens is increasingly becoming an issue within schools. You have more and more kids that have food sensitivities, food intolerances. So we develop, gluten-free recipes. Again, we're reviewing the spec sheets to make sure there's no hidden signs of gluten. We're working directly with the vendors to, ask them about their spec sheets and, if there's an questionable ingredient that may be linked to processed or byproduct of gluten, we're kind of vetting through that. So when we're making those recipes that are allergen-free, we're stating that they are, that they truly are. We also work on doing some allergen training, so, on-site with our staff, teaching them about cross-contamination and the proper way to prepare the food to make sure that, it's not getting contaminated during the preparation process. Also helping them identify, allergens, things to look for, the difference between a food allergy and a food sensitivity and things of that nature. And also doing, food safety training, first in, first out, all that kind of stuff. So we can assist with all that. So in addition to just like the daily training, the daily support, we also have something that we call Whitson's Interactive Nutrition, WIN. It's something where myself or one of my staff members can come out and we can do nutrition presentations, and they can be customized for your district. If you have a lot of teachers asking questions, or nurses, or parents, or even students have questions about something and you want to do a nutrition education class, a lesson plan, an interactive workshop, that's something where one of our dietitians can come out and kind of help educate on specific topics that may be of interest for you guys. And just the last slide, if you have a different district health and wellness there, we can also provide support and assistance. The marketing department has created, flyers, giveaways, things of that nature that can be provided during a fair. We also have some food models, and we're also available if you wanted one of us on site to answer questions. If you have a large group, will have a lot of questions. We can always be available to answer any of those. So that's the end of the book. We can go back to the PowerPoint now.
Yes, of course. When they're doing the presentation, I'll have members of the audience come and ask questions.
Just before you go on, I just want to apologize. I am texting. I have a sick husband at home. So I do have to keep in touch with him. So I just want to apologize to everybody in here when they see me texting. I'm not playing bubble pop, I swear. Yeah, well, do you want me to go to the district update? Can you type it in? We have to go on the presentation. I'm gonna have to manage it from here. Oh, no, on here?
Not right the black.
On here.
So you can just, where you need to get out of it.
Get out of that.
Just hit escape.
Well, if you just open up, yeah.
Just to give you a background, what they're going for right now is, one of the other services we provide from an IT perspective and nutrition perspective is, for every district, we make a customized page that it works seamlessly with your district. We get the info from your IT department, we get your logo, we get it approved, and then we make a page so that when anyone clicks on the Connect One District school page and goes to food service or menu, whatever it's under, every district does it differently. They click onto food service or menus, it opens up. It looks like a Connect One page, but it's actually Whitson's page, and that's where all of our menus and nutrition. And again, it's web-based, it can be accessed anywhere.
You don't have, what if they just go to the Second website? Navigate through there.
Minimize everything, go to Firefox, double click, it'll open up to the Connect One webpage.
Yeah. We just go to the webpage.
Minimize.
Right there, North Christine. The red icon there.
The other left. Yeah. Okay, so this would be the customized website. So they have access to, click, learn a little bit more about some of the programs they talked about, but mainly what we want to talk about here is the interactive menus. So mainly we want to talk about the interactive menu. So a parent, school nurse, whoever can come to this section of the district website and then click on the menu they're looking for. So either the breakfast or the lunch, high school, middle school, elementary. You just click on to either the PDF, HTML, whichever, the month that you want to look at. So you click into, really on here you can click into any day, but let's say you're looking for whatever was served on the 10th. You can click on the 10th. And you'll automatically be brought to our NutriCalc. So essentially, this page is going to show you everything that's on the menu for that day. So as a parent, a student, a nurse, you click on that item, just click. You don't have to drag, just click on it. And it automatically is going to show you all the calories, carbs, and then it's going to show you the allergens, and then it also gives you a button all the way on the right-hand side that says View Ingredients. So that also allows you to see the ingredients. So, specifically for nurse kids who are diabetic, you're doing, insulin dosing, you're going to want to know the carb counts. If the kid comes in and says, I ate X, Y, and Z today, the nurse can simply click in here and then total up the carbs so they know how much insulin to give the student. If the parent knows that their child is allergic to milk, gluten, wheat, whatever, they can look and say, avoid eating X, Y, and Z today. Those don't really go along with your dietary restrictions. And at the same time, if they want to delve in a little farther and look at more than just the FDA top 8, they can look at the View Ingredients. And if there's something particular that they're allergic to that might not be considered part of the FDA top 8, maybe something such as sesame seed, they can click here and look at it. And another benefit that our food service director, every month they click, we call it an allergen report. So every month they print an allergen report for the entire menu, and it goes by lunch and breakfast and by meal period and by day, and it'll tell you all the allergens that are in for that month. And then in addition to the FDA top 8, we also have, through experience over the years, there's certain ingredients that a lot of students tend to be allergic to, sensitive to, and one of the reasons I mentioned sesame seed, it's an ingredient that we track. So we kind of go above and beyond the FDA top 8, and we have ingredients that we track for our students. And we also do things, obviously peanuts and tree nuts are a huge issue, and one of the things I'll talk about when we talk about procurement, sourcing products from a peanut-free nut tree facility, or ones that are specific to that, that's something we also track. So we can say this product is specifically purchased from a manufacturer who doesn't process peanuts or tree nuts. So those are all things that you can view through the software.
The big value here is that it's live, real-time data. So if you change the menu on the fly because the chicken nuggets didn't come in or whatever, and if it changes that, repost it, it changes as well right away. And a parent can take our entire menu for the month and save the PDF on their desktop, and it's still, every link will still click right into this link. So we have a mobile app too. Kids can scan the menu on the year, or a parent can scan it on the website, and you can get everything right on your mobile phone. This is proprietary software. This was something that developed about 9 years.
You can leave it there.
I'm just leave it here.
Yeah.
She closed the presentation.
No, we have to go back to the house.
And you should just go right to procurement, because I already talked about the nutrition piece when I went through the book. So, the procurement management.
Oh, you have to click on that. Christine, without how much longer?
Well, we could go on all night.
I see that.
We'll prioritize.
5 minutes? Yeah, 5 is good. 'Cause I still have to have a turn.
Okay. I can go through this very quickly. So, because it's some of the stuff that my team members have already spoken about, but Another benefit of having Whitson's and food service manufacturing company that has the buying power that we do is the fact that you get to benefit from that buying power. So one of the first things is competitive pricing. The fact that we're buying such a large quantity of ingredients for all of our clients, we're able to negotiate contract pricing and the lowest prices out there, and those savings are passed along to you. So whatever contract pricing we're getting on a product, that's what we're locking in for our clients. Also the fact, and Kelly spoke about this a little bit as well, is the fact that we can customize products. So there are products out there that you cannot find out in the market because they were specifically made for Whitson's. We've talked with food vendors and we've had them customize it so it meets the federal and state nutrition regulations. It meets our Whitson's Simply Rooted philosophies, which we talked about cleaner ingredients. It's also been vetted through our chefs. Our chefs have tasted it. Some products are even created first and foremost at our culinary center by our chefs, and then we can find someone who can actually make it for us. So very customized products. And then again, like I mentioned, the fact that if they don't have a CM label, if they don't have a product formulation statement, and they're not familiar with the school lunch requirements for nutritional, sodium, things of that nature, we have the ability to work with vendors and create those things for them because we have the experience. Also the fact that we can offer both commercially and commodity products at a bigger variety. So with the purchasing power, we're able to work with food processors to get them onto, or get them accepted by the state and get them on processor links. So when you're using your commodity dollars, you have more products to choose from. So instead of maybe having 3 products, we can work with those processors to get them approved, and now you have a choice of 15. So now your commodity dollars can be used for a wider range of products, and you have more use for those dollars. And then lastly, the fact that we have a vendor relationship, we have the ability to have fast communication. So if there's an issue with product being damaged, late, what have you, we handle all the credits. Kelly mentioned it before, recalls. Everyone sees it in the news. Recalls are huge. So the fact that we work directly with the manufacturer, sometimes even before it comes from the FDA or the USDA, the vendors are letting us know first. And because of the fact that we have Dine Central, all of our ingredients are put in there, all of them linked to a recipe, all of them linked to a menu, it's very simple for us to have traceability of our products. So we can run through and say, God forbid, this school X, Y, and Z got a product, pull it off. Or say, you know, if there's a huge recall on beef, but guess what, we don't purchase any of those beef, we can trace to make sure that none of those beef products are in our procurement model. And then, aside from those benefits, some of the other ones that, you know, you'll deal more with when you're part of administrator review is the Buy American Act. So we kind of handle all of the regulatory factors that go into the Buy American Act and filling out justification forms. The fact that we don't just choose any vendor, all of our vendors are vetted thoroughly. We look at their GMPs, we're looking at their HACCP plans, we're looking to see that they have a third-party audit, we're looking at their allergen control policy. It's all great that we're doing, you know, allergen training here and preventing cross-contamination, but if you're working with a supplier or a vendor who doesn't have that in their plant, then that product really isn't safe. So we're making sure that all those things are set up. We have them fill out food safety questionnaires, food defense questionnaires that are specific to Whitson. So before we even bring them in, all of that stuff is vetted before they're even considered an approved vendor. And then lastly, the fact that we own all the inventory. So our procurement, we own all the inventory for the school.
You're not carrying the liability of having the inventory.
And now we'll pass it back to Christine.
Thank you, Jen.
Okay. I know you might have heard a couple of times tonight the word our Dine Central system, and you may not really be aware of what that is. So very briefly, to run this type of operation, you need to have systems in place, and we provide all of those systems for you. Our Dine Central system is one-stop shopping for us. It's what all of our directors use to manage your entire program, from looking at a spec sheet, to creating a menu, to looking at recalls, to logging vendor complaints, to looking at recipes, production records, and so on. So I just want you to be aware that there are many, many different systems that you need to have in place to run this type of operation.
So is there any questions from the community? Any other questions?
Yes, question.
Sure, yes.
I'm not questioning your ability or the ability of the team. But nobody works for nothing. What would be your charge to the district?
Well, right now, the way we work, New York State is a New York contract, so we take all of our costs, and this is how we bid, so you can understand how we bid. We take the cost of our, of our manager on site and, our programs, and that's how we calculate what's going to be the bid price. Obviously, we're not a non-for-profit, we have to work.
Yes, you're not non-for-profit.
Absolutely not. If you find any out there, let us know, because they don't exist. But, so obviously we have a profit in there, but in the school lunch business, it is a modest profit. We work on very, very reasonable margins. But we're basing our success on volume. The more school districts we serve, obviously, the more profit there is. So if there's, so it's very, we have very large inner city districts where we feed 35,000 meals a day. Those have different kind of profit margins. Districts of this size, which we call like a mid-sized district, has a much smaller profit, but the business is important to us. The relationship is important because it's local, and we're local, and it's easier for us to operate in our local area, our vicinity. We have community ties, which are important, and that makes it valuable to us. And because many of these districts added up result in profits that are, sustainable for us.
Okay, this, as you just mentioned, is a smaller district, and smaller districts have smaller profits.
You're mid-size, I would say you're mid-size, you're not really a small
Mid-size.
district. Yeah, you're not a small district.
At the moment, last year, we lost 281,000.
Right, but again, you have to analyze where those expenses came in from. So, we're charging, as we said, we're charging $1.40.
Well, I don't know how you do it for $1.40.
Sometimes I have to wonder.
I can't get a piece of carrot and a celery
Thank
for
you.
$1.40 with no
That
dressing.
was our point. So it's a lot of it has to do with our purchasing power. We buy, remember, we're serving, I don't know, 70, 80,000 meals a day, in districts all over the seaboard. So we have buying power. You can't,
I understand that.
Some of the large
When
companies.
you buy in quantity, you get price breaks and you get it cheaper.
That is correct.
There's no doubt about that. If they, first of all, if they are limited here to $1.40,
That's all we get out of this whole country.
why can't they raise that?
And how do you get that many students?
That's not what you're charging our students. That's what we're charging you. So it's
I don't know what they charge per meal. Evidently, they don't charge enough per meal.
You have a very decent lunch price.
And yet they'll take
It's
them
not
out
too much,
to,
it's
yet
not
they'll
bad.
take them out to McDonald's for $10.
You can't buy school lunch like you get here anywhere in the marketplace, for what it is. I say your price is right there where it should be. You're comparable, I benchmark you against.
You say their prices are right.
I think your prices are right. I mean,
So how come they lost $281,000?
unfortunately, I can't speak to that because I don't know what the other expenses are. I have one bill. It's 500 kids times $1.40, that should.
The biggest thing that you brought up that I really bid onto, there's a declining population here. And it takes a certain amount of people in the kitchen, on the serving line, and at the cash register, whether you're serving 150 students or 500 students. It takes the same staff.
Yes.
And as that population declines, the staff does not decline.
Yes, it does. In some environments, it does. It's not a blanket statement because every situation is unique. We have schools, in this district, where because the serving lines are spread out in 3 places, I used to serve 1,000 kids, now I'm serving 300, but I still have to have somebody at each one of those stations, in each one of those sections. So that's just changing footprint,
In our school, we have 4 girls, we have 3 girls.
And certain items are impossible to keep warm. I'm talking about French fries. We're not allowed to deep fat fry French fries. We bake them, which they don't taste good anyway. But You take that baked French fry, in 2 minutes it's cold.
Not every item transfers well, but the
It
girls do a
doesn't
great
transfer
job.
at all.
I'd say that's the exception, it's not the rule.
When I was in the army, we never served French fries. We served baked potatoes. I'm not even kidding. I'm
See what he does.
French fries don't get transferred.
See how far I can throw it.
If that is true, and part of the problem is that maybe the elementary school isn't as great, is it a possibility to buy an extra level up?
You would have to incorporate that into the bid specifications, because unfortunately, in New York State's infinite wisdom, they've done this per meal flat rate pricing, where it's one of the only states in the entire country that does it. New Jersey went to it, and they're already backing it down. What it used to be is probably what it used to be what's called cost plus. So it was all the cost of the program plus. So that meant that any administrator, any board member, anybody with autonomy, principal, can dial it up or dial it down. I want this, I want this, I want this, because you were paying for it, so you were controlling it. It was your first service. We have fiscal responsibility, because we still have a budget to maintain, or we wouldn't be, we wouldn't be successful as a department. But we were able to customize the program, and that's what we're doing in many states right now. So, we have some people in New York that call and say, gee, I saw on the Whitson's website, we're doing, sushi, and the school lunch price is only $1.50 to the student there. How are you doing it? Well, because the client is subsidized. I'm not saying those programs are in great financial shape all the time. Sometimes they have the means to do that, to exceed that. But in New York, unfortunately, unless it's into your bid specs, then you don't have a lot of flexibility to offer different programs in different places without first writing an it's bid. We have people right now that are writing organic. I want organic at least twice a week, or I want, all natural this or that. They're actually putting that into the specifications. Are there ways you can change the elementary program? Sure, you can bring chefs, you can hire chefs in that can work with the staff, to help make some stuff on site with portable type equipment. There are things you can do, but it's not like we're on. Exactly, that's exactly right. It's 3 weeks before the refrigerator. You can't just keep taking away and expect things to get better, right? I mean, you have to feed the beast.
So I'm not on like a lowest level, and we, I just might choose to.
No, you have very good bid specs, or what you did a very good job. You have very good, all your quality is bringing quality, it's up to the specs. But again, sometimes you actually lose something, and you have to sell it at schools, you can't put on the site. Are you asking that question because you was child in elementary school, that's not how you come up?
No,
I'm just asking like where you're coming from.
I have 12 children that went through the program,
And I have to
and some
think-
years they do it, and some years,
Right. But as far as, like you're saying, non-transfer food, we don't transfer, I'll talk to you. Yeah. We don't transfer French fries to French fries. Those are all cooked in elementary school. That's not, the only thing that's transferred is pasta, spaghetti, or rice. That's it. Nothing else is transferred.
Okay, we're gonna take up one more question, because this presentation is
my
a
mother
little,
worked in the school service here for 28 years, I believe, and they cooked up everything, she and her chef at the Connect Street Kids School here, and it all went out. And they, before they had to, were baking the fries rather than frying them, because they just knew it wasn't. And I don't remember the way they used to cook. So there's gotta be a way to transfer stuff and a way that keeps the food.
We're not
Nothing gets transferred.
No, she misspoke, but she said that. We only transfer rice and pasta, and that's very rarely that we serve those two items.
okay, we're gonna move on to one more question, because this presentation went on quite a while.
Me?
Yes?
Okay, this is actually a question more for you.
Okay.
It is very understanding what's happening before we had a consultant come in
Correct.
to analyze the impact of the food service contract. Ms. Friend pointed out there are myriad factors that go into why we might be losing $12,000, some of which isn't under their control, staff, et cetera.
Correct.
Was the recommendation of the consultant that we should entertain looking at bringing that in-house? It proved to be that the price that they're charging in that consultant's eye was prohibitive. Was that a fair assessment of what that conversation?
We were in the beginning talks of having a conversation, and once we commit to her contract, then she'll divulge, she'll, dive into where we are losing money. But as of now, we have not committed to her to sign the contract.
That's correct.
We have not, yeah, so once we commit, then she will do the analysis.
The $40.5 is a very fair price overall, but we don't know that it's not fair.
Right.
I just want to need some understanding of what's everything happening.
Okay.
So we paid for that and we're not getting any information?
We haven't heard anything.
You said, did we pay for that and we're not getting any information from that?
We didn't hire.
We didn't hire the consultant.
Okay.
Are we going to at some point, just to get?
That needs to be a board decision. The decision was made to first have Whitson's come in, who did this very nice presentation at no cost, and then for the board to consider if, Yes, that would-
be, right?
there would be a fee associated with the consultant services.
That's something again we will discuss.
Pardon me?
What is the fee that she requires to speak?
To speak, it was $1,000.
What?
But don't forget, I mean, there's research that would have to go into
I'm
that,
just curious what type
and
of.
data gathering and school visits and.
Have you looked into other people other than just this one person as a consultant?
No, but she was recommended to me by colleagues as a very good
Analysis on it.
consultant.
I think we should move on to the next presentation. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, all of you, Listen people, for coming. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's a very nice presentation.
All right, go ahead. Thanks.
Thank you. Oh, yes.
All right, John Allen, where are you?
That's one of the first things.
Oh, that's right. I didn't know.
The white one. The white one?
I didn't say.
Thank you. She's busy.
Those that didn't have.
Do they need to know something? Because maybe next year.
What do you say? It's kind of like, you're jumping over everybody. Here we go, let's come over here. Thank you.
Right. Not saying every school does it, but we're talking about
Nobody's complaining.
Okay, I want to hit on the factors that will affect the tax levy cap calculation. If you recall, there are certain additions that you can go over the so-called 2% cap
if you have some costs which exceed 2%. Those are the exclusions. So if our differential between the 18-19 employee retirement system contribution for the retirement system, if the differential were in excess of 2%, that excess of 2% would be allowed to be added on to the tax levy cap. But you can see the differential is 0.5, it's at 0.3, I'm sorry, as a reduction. So that will not be applicable for 1920.
Sharon, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I can't really see that for it. Is there a copy of this so I can follow along with you? Maybe Mary Jane can make a copy?
Okay, do you want to take a little break and I'll go make a copy of
What
it?
do you talk about the next item and what you make a copy? Yes, please. Yeah, because I can't see. I'm sorry. Sorry, Sharon.
Are we moving on to the next thing?
High school graduation.
Thank you. Last week, we were, central office was notified by our high school principal regarding some conflicts with our graduation and prom. Ms. Adams did send out something last Friday in the FYI, just to give a heads up. He recently found out that 2 students have been accepted to the United States Service Academies, and the report-in date is June 27th, which conflicts with both our prom and our graduation. He's looking to see if the board is willing to consider moving graduation from Thursday, June 27th to Wednesday, June 26th, and then the prom to the 25th. There are also students who are still waiting a decision from the service academies, and he anticipates that there will be several more students that will be impacted by this. They won't be able to attend graduation or attend the prom.
What if it rains and we have to move it anyway?
That's definitely a factor.
Right, don't we have like 4 dates?
We do list 4 dates, but this is something that I think Dr. Adams just mentioned that one of the siblings is a twin, and wouldn't be able to graduate with their sibling, both of the prom. So.
Is there a problem with the prom moving it the day before?
So as of last week, the high school did reach out to Eastwind, which is where the prom is being held this year, and that date was still available as of last week. They did say that there was someone that was looking at that date, but if the board decided that we would move, that would be the first thing that they would do tomorrow is call and take that date if it's still available.
So all the regions and everything, the scores, the finals, everything will be forecasting, so no issues with that.
The only issue is just the 2 events.
There is a regents exam on the 25th, however, in the afternoon that would impact some kids. It's chemistry regents. Generally, our seniors are done taking chemistry regents. That's usually a junior or sophomore regents exam. But there are some juniors that do attend the proms as guests of seniors. So that would be, they would have to get their hair and nails or their other dressing done after that exam, which usually ends around 3 o'clock. But they would have some time at this point to revamp any appointments if they have those appointments as of yet. But those were the things that were, they did think about everything. And you do need to know the full picture. But this is 2 students who will be representing Connecticut at the Service Academy and then going to the Armed Forces to serve the country. And there's also 2 more that are still awaiting decisions from their Service Academy. So they all have the same move-in date, which is, the graduation date currently.
So the student government, was this because of student government, was it the children on student government? Did they weigh in on it, just to get a feel of the school?
I don't know the answer, but I can find that out for you.
I personally don't have an issue with moving the dates.
They need,
No, I personally have an issue with the dates, didn't know if it was shared with the other student body, just so
We
they
had to
have
get
some
other people
input.
mad at us, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I didn't know if it was shared with the rest of the school
Yeah,
because
I agree.
was their input in,
It's gonna hurt other people.
Well, Linda just said it might hurt the juniors that are going to the prom with the seniors. That happens a lot. So how many kids are we be affecting,
Yeah, I don't want to hurt
accommodate
these
two kids.
these two children, but I'm not.
I know. I don't wanna mess up 17 kids for, I don't know. Who knows how many juniors and don't.
So what did you say? I'm sorry.
I said something that doesn't make any sense. I had said, can we do it temporarily, say yes temporarily,
Yes.
I'll speak with the numbers, but I'm thinking my daughter's a senior, she has no
I
age
mean,
to prom.
I'm sure the board won't, I can't speak for the board, but if you can get us that information, I wouldn't mind coming in on, say, Thursday or Friday, just for us to come in quickly.
I don't, we're not gonna be able to get that.
I would say
They don't
vote
have a
yes
date
right
set.
now.
I would say vote yes also.
And then
Okay.
if there's a problem where we have a whole bunch of seniors that they're not gonna be.
And
Do
when
we
they
ever have
a lot of people.
I mean, I don't
Prom
know.
is on a Wednesday instead of Thursday, have we ever had it on a Wednesday?
It's on a Wednesday right now, we would be moving it to a Tuesday.
Has it ever been on a Tuesday, or has it always been on a Wednesday?
I think we always started on a Wednesday and it went through a Sunday if it rains, right?
So that's different between prom and graduation. I don't know this about the prom. I know graduation moved under Dr. Wogan's tenure. It went from either a Saturday or Sunday into the week. So there has been a history of movement on behalf of the graduation, but I don't know about the prom.
Just move it, there's plenty of time,
They will not be able to walk if it rains.
but if it
But
rains,
at
it's
least
not.
we're giving them an opportunity to be able to walk it.
Okay.
I don't have a problem.
Okay.
So I have consensus, I agree with
Yes.
prom.
Yes.
Yeah,
graduation.
four.
Yes.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah, four.
unless it conflicts with too many other people. If we get a whole group of people in here that say, I don't wanna move, then I wanna change it back.
Well, that's why,
That's my conditional.
I mean, well, the board is gonna say yes, but can you inform the board whether or not this is gonna conflict with other children? I mean, there's parents that have already
Yeah.
made vacation plans or done whatever
They
to
would
work around
normally
the
get
state.
the prom that night.
What?
They would normally get the prom that night, so that's not gonna be an issue. We're
You're
actually
talking
looking at chemistry
about
test, go backwards rather than forward, so they would actually get the prom that night, so that night has been taken up for years for those kids.
Okay. We'll just double check.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm with
We have a consensus.
All right, is Sharon back?
a conditional consensus, right?
It's not gonna be able to be conditional, because once this happens and we move this in motion, we're gonna have to change the date of the prom, which means we're gonna change the reservation of the prom, which they were nice enough potentially to move it once.
So if we get 100 kids in here at the next meeting saying they can't move it, then,
What would be the cost for them not to be
I
able to?
don't know. Dean just gave us some, well, who just
But that
said
was
it?
just, I was trying to
I
say
don't
we
know,
could
what if
come
that
up with a
happens?
number.
What if they take a chemistry test and they can't get their hair and nails done? It is a tough time to try to do
It's
a
the
get your
juniors,
hair and nails
it's
done.
not the
How do you know it's
seniors.
not a senior?
She just said the juniors that are taking chemistry.
Are there any seniors taking the chemistry?
Generally, no.
Generally, but are there any
We could find that.
specifically?
Oh, by the way, when does the students go to visit their elementary school?
Oh, yeah, that's the other thing,
I
that's
think it's
right.
counted.
We started that too.
No, I know
Maybe the last day of.
Is it the Friday before the,
If they're their senior,
Picture.
and then that same day they visit the elementary school?
Yeah, very
So
short.
that's not gonna, that's not gonna conflict?
No.
I'm trying to.
We're waiting on you.
All right, so we have consensus to move it.
Thank you, I'm sorry, I'm just so used to following around.
Mary Jane, I'm gonna abstain from that one. I'm okay with it conditionally, but if we can't do it conditionally, I'm gonna abstain. Right, I'm a little worried about that too, right?
Yeah, well, just, all right, what is that? We missed that.
Okay, so back to the factors affecting the tax levy cap. The pension rate contributions, each the one for the teachers' retirement system and the one for the employees' retirement system, neither of those had an increase which exceeded 2%. That excess would have enabled us to raise the allowable tax levy by the amount over 2%, but that's not the case for either of those retirement rates. The tax-based growth factor, which is the brick and mortar improvements in the district, are slightly over 1 this year. One has no effect. If you have a 1.0000, your tax-based growth factor remains the same. We're slightly above 1 this year. Last year we were at 1. The allowable levy growth factor.
What put us over the tax-based growth factor? I mean, that's like.
What specifically? That would be from the assessor's office.
Thank you.
You're welcome. The allowable levy growth factor is 2% for 1920, as it was for 1819. And we still have the capital tax levy exclusion to factor in at this point. That is not finalized. This graph shows a difference between the allowable levy growth factor, which, as you remember, we cannot exceed the lesser of the CPI or 2%. So the inflation factor is what the consumer price index was, what the increase was for the year, is in red. In blue is what we were allowed to have the cap be. So you can see now in these past 2 years, 1819 and 1920, there's a significant difference between what the CPI is and the limitations of the 2%, that's where the 2% cap is. That everybody thinks
So
it's
how will that
2%.
affect us because of the CPI went so high?
Well, that makes it really hard for us because the costs have gone up by over 2%, but we're limited to 2% plus the exclusions that are allowed. But that piece of it is
We don't
limited.
have that many, you said.
We don't have,
The exclusions, right? Is that what you just
we
said?
don't have the pension exclusions. We probably will have a capital exclusion, but
Okay,
that's
we don't
not,
know what that is yet.
not yet. This shows what the executive budget state aid proposal was last year to this year. You can see foundation aid went up by a mere 0.25%, and total aid, 1819 compared to 1920, we actually have a decrease in the proposal of $838,000.
Didn't we question that though?
Didn't we question it?
Yeah, didn't I get something that said we were questioning that big large amount and why? It was because it was out of sync with other districts?
It is, and part of it is our expense-driven aids, what our building aid is, and some, BOCES aid decreased.
Why does that
Yeah, I
happen?
can give you an analysis of that.
Yeah, I'm just curious as to why that
Because
happened.
they're expense-driven, it's how much you use versus how much reimbursement you get in the following year.
So we didn't use it all, that's why we didn't have it.
We expended less from one year to the next.
Thank you.
You're welcome. The formula-based aids over the last 5 years, including an estimate for 1819 is shown on this slide. So you can see that the state aid amount is increasing at a lesser amount for the formula-based aids as opposed to expense-driven. And you can see, as you saw in the last presentation, our enrollment is declining. This is the budget calendar, so we did our budget guideline development presentation last meeting. This was the fiscal climate, and then the next meeting will be fiscal stress and looking at the revenues for the year. That's when we'll see an analysis for state aid and where those changes have occurred, and a preliminary draft of the tax cap calculation. Thank you.
Thanks, Sharon.
You're welcome.
Any questions?
Is there any questions from the audience? Yes. Guys,
It's up to public comment in 5 seconds.
well, you
You got one policy and then public comment.
and you can ask me a question.
Last year, we had a zero tax increase. However, when I got my bill for Connecticut, I had to pay more because they calculated it differently. And we got extra money because of that. How much extra money did we get?
I believe it was $20,000. Wait. I think it was 6,000. I have to look, I have
You
to
have to
look.
look.
I have to look, but you know, the main thing that affects the difference between the rate I tell you and, you know, the 0%
Right,
is the difference in overall assessed value for the whole district.
right.
So we did levy at a 0% increase
But they gave us more money. They charged me more money.
because the tax levy in the aggregate for the whole district is divided by the assessed value of the whole district. So if the assessed value decreases, that's less assessed value to spread the tax levy over. So if the denominator changes year to year, there's that effect. But we still had a 0% levy increase overall for the district.
But the library,
The school, the library told me they got more money because of the way things were taxed.
There is a differential in the pro rata adjustment. That's when the town may find that certain exemptions were disallowed. So that doesn't cost you more money, but it does cause the library and the district to collect a small amount more.
They
That's
collect a
correct.
small amount more money.
Because of a pro rata adjustment, which is done every single year to back out those houses which are no longer entitled to an exemption, like a store exemption.
And we didn't get a small amount of more money from the town.
No, I told you we did.
I paid more money.
That's because of the change in assessed value.
I think something got lost in the cards.
Well, maybe you want to come and see me, and I'll show you how that works with the pro rata adjustment that the assessor's office does, because that does affect it as well.
But that's not what I was told when I went to the board meeting from the library.
Well, I can show you theirs too, because that flows through the town to us as well. But I assure you, the levy that we report to the town was the same 122 million and change.
Does anybody else have a question regarding this?
There are some factors that are outside of our control, and that's that backing out of unentitled exemptions, which does affect the calculation too, and they do a rounding over at the assessor's office, and the change in assessed value district-wide. It makes me sad that you're not happy with the 0% levy change. But that's just my personal, but I'll show you the calculation, which is an extension we get from the town. They do their calculations over there, and it all makes sense. I'll walk you through it.
And it wasn't a big increase, but it was an increase. When I looked on last year's bill and this year's bill, I gave the school district a little bit more. That was my checkbook.
And I understand that. But
Okay.
you know that that is out of our control if someone is no
I'm not
longer
saying you
entitled.
had anything to do with it.
We can't predict that effect to counter it. We can't predict what the change in assessed value will be. We don't even get that until after. But we do levy that amount that we say we're going to levy. The assessor's office backs out the pro rata adjustments. They divide it by the assessed value. They do rounding also. So there's 3 factors. I'm going to show
what was
you
the percentage that we actually went up, Sharon?
What is the
The actual,
percentage?
not the levy, the actual dollar number. So from the 192 to the I forget what it was last year.
What was the budget to budget increase?
Yeah,
I don't remember the exact
a
percentage.
little over 1% or
I
2.
think so, yeah. 187 to 192.
Right, that's what it was, 187 to 192.
Mhm.
Does anybody else have a question for Sharon?
Thank you, Sharon.
Thank you, Sharon.
You're welcome.
I have a moving on to policy 4351E, field trip excursions form, the board.
They just added a nurse onto this.
It's just for informational purposes. We amended the field trip form to include a nurse signature, as a request from the state.
Okay, so we're moving on to public comment. Step up to the podium. Address the board president only. You may address one or more topics in the time allotted. Individual employees, parents, or children should not be identified by name, title, position, grade, or building. For safety, please exit from the podium. Mary Jane keeps the time to 3 minutes, and about 30 seconds before the 3-minute bell, she will give you just a slight warning to let you know to kind of close comment. So if anybody has anything to say, please come to the podium.
Hi, I just wanted to say first that I fully support moving graduation so kids who have volunteered to sign up for the military can attend. I am a little bit concerned though about the ripple effect to programs for the other schools. My son is in 8th grade and will have this moving up ceremony from RMS at the high school on the 25th. Will things like that be affected because of moving the graduation and prom?
No, they shouldn't be because of the timing of those events. So the RMS and OBMS graduations take place in the night.
Shouldn't be or won't be? I have to put in vacation time
I'm going to say it won't
January
be.
1st, right?
I'm going to say it won't be because I'm assuming that the high school administration has already contacted them. But I will double check for you and I will give you a call.
Yeah, but once in the morning. Yeah, once early afternoon, the other one's 6 o'clock at night. Yeah, so it should be no conflict at all.
And next prom back, that's under graduation.
I just want to make sure, because if I need to change a day off, I need to do it.
Of course, go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dean will double check on that.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Hi, I just wanted to know if there's been any more discussion or looking into the bathroom situation at the high school. I did contact Mr. Costa, that you had directed. He says that I asked him for specifically a schedule of the bathrooms and when they're open and not, and which ones, so I can direct my son. He wrote back saying that there are 4 bathrooms open all day on the ground floor and 2 upstairs all day. I'm not in the school, but I can tell you what my kids say, that it's not so. It's searching around for a bathroom that's open. And he also said that he never witnessed a line, which I have pictures in my phone, as I'm standing in lines. So I get, like I said, the last time, the hiring people to monitor the bathrooms, but I just don't think it's enough at this point, and they have to hold it until they get home and come running in. Of course. I don't know. I think whatever the monitors are doing, standing there, whatever we can legally do to stand inside the bathroom, but not the closest, whatever it is to, because once again, it's the situation of the kids that aren't going in and vaping and smoking and whatever else need to go, and they're the ones that get hurt. Like so many other things. Like the attendance policy. It's the good kids and not the ones that it's targeted. So it's something, it's just been too many years, and we have to figure out something better, more monitors, hire more people, I don't know.
Linda, can you look into that, please?
There are 2 more bathrooms on the ground floor. I actually did the map, highlighted the map, counted up the restrooms to make sure that we were compliant. There are 2 more restrooms on the ground floor that.
So there's 6 on the ground. 6 on the ground, because Peter said there's 4.
There could be 2 more that could be open with personnel.
So which group are to 6?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the second floor?
They're all open except for 2 staff bathrooms.
What about the lines that are on the bathrooms now? The boys are being told they can only go in two at a time, and some boys were uncomfortable with that because they had to really use the bathroom.
That's where the lines come in. But, you know, further than compliance, and I know we're saying that to be, but to me, compliance goes after, when, I don't care what the compliance is, it's gotta be, you know, how much need they need to, we only have that two, but whatever it may be,
Well,
we
we
need
don't
four or
do more, we
six.
would just have to budget that in the personnel budget, that we would want to increase the budget for those two more.
All right, and so the same thing, we'll just have somebody standing there, there's no, I know we had talked about maybe there was some technology coming out that detects the leaking or something. We gotta get rid of this problem somehow, I know it's widespread and all of that, but it's been a real problem for us for even before the vaping again. But it's on that one with us. So, all right.
Thank you. Please follow up with that. Thank you. Yes, please. Anybody else? Okay, we're moving on to recommended action personnel matters. Schedule 1, resignation, termination, leaves of absence. I need a motion and a second. Second. All in favor? Schedule 2, appointment, tenure, salary changes. I need a motion and a second. All in favor? Okay, there's nothing in item 3. Moving on to old business. Motion second to remove the table from the 2018-19 waterbed goals for finalization.
No, because we didn't discuss the goals and the ones that we wrote in the beginning. Some of this stuff's not shown on it.
So Linda, would you like to address that?
I've sent them for, they're in draft form, and I've got no feedback, so if someone would
Okay,
like
so
to send me feedback.
do you remember what meeting it was that we first put up our list? Because I know Mylene and I gave a list.
It was August.
It was August? So I know that I know for a fact that I wrote some things about career and BOCES, so I just, if you give me till the next time, because I'd like to double check those against this and just make sure, because this doesn't sound like anything that we wrote. Mylene had a list, I had a list. I don't know if we ever submitted her list, I think it was that night. I don't think it's in writing on there, but.
This was just a draft put together back into the form.
Yeah, but it
which
looks
is a
like the
little
same
more
one as,
global.
like from when the other board was here. It
Correct.
doesn't look like anything that Mylene and I changed or talked about is on here. I mean, there might be one or two things, but not a lot of it.
That's why I sent them in draft, so that you can.
Okay, well, I apologize, I don't think I saw the draft, Linda, I might have just missed it, so I will look at the August meeting you said?
Yes.
Okay, so I'd like to keep that table until I can look at the August meeting.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to consent agenda. Items 2 through 8. I need a motion and a second, and then we can have a discussion.
Motion, second.
Any questions regarding items 2 through 8?
I have just very few questions on 6 through 8, because they were added in later.
Okay, so then, since,
We don't even have to pull them though. I mean, I can really get an answer right now, then we can vote. It's really not a big deal. It's not even a question about the vote.
okay,
So I just want to know if these were the ones that we voted to send to arbitration? Or was this a different vote? Was this the other board, or was this the one that, there was 3 yeses to send to arbitration and 1 abstain?
she's addressing.
I don't have this in front of me.
I think I can answer that.
Yes,
These are not the
please.
ones that you voted to send to arbitration. These are the ones we were able to negotiate a settlement short of an arbitration.
Short, so there was no
CTA
legal.
did not demand arbitration.
So I guess my question is, were there any legal fees associated with 6 through 8? I think I did bring that up to you, right?
No, not these. I can certainly.
I'm sure there were. Generally, they'd be associated with our attorney drafting the stipulation of settlement, time spent on it.
But not
Nowhere
the
near
tune
what
of
you have.
$25,000.
Nowhere near.
So what would something like that normally cost to do that? Just an average, you don't know? Okay, can you just get me that information just for future reference? Thank you. I'm ready to.
So we're just talking about the settlement?
Yeah, I would like to know those fees, yes, please. Thanks. All right, that's it, Mylene, that's all I had. I'm ready to
All right, so I noticed that there's two things on here that I hope, Linda, you will include tonight, that you can sort of broadcast through the district. So we have a civil service test, and we also have the Suffolk County PD. Are you going to
That's the
sort of
same.
put a blast out there to,
I can, but I believe you have to be 19, but I can,
Well, of course.
certainly put it on the Facebook page, so Connect Arts.
yeah, put on Facebook page, put it on the district page?
Yes, this
Yes,
is
we-
one every
maybe-
5 years, so it's a good idea for people to take if they're interested in
So can you send an email blast to
Oh,
the
sure.
to
Is
the
that two
community?
different, wait, London, is that two different tests that day? You just said civil service and PD, I thought it was just PD. Okay, all right, thank you. Okay.
Yeah, so we can advertise that, I mean, it's, you know, in their backyard, so that'd be great to take it, you know, advance for us to the meeting. Okay, so are we all in favor on items 2 through 8?
Aye.
Yeah, it's a motion,
Motion.
all in favor. Okay, so I guess we are moving into the session? We're done. All right, so I'm gonna need a motion and a second to move into exec session to motion for the board to move into exec session in accordance with open meetings law, section 105, on history of particular persons confidential. Need a motion and a second? Second, all in favor?